a move and the bunny gets it.
I said, put the bunny back in the box. Why couldn't you put the bunny back in the box?
It's showtime.
Roar. Roar.
Colonel Ironsides here. 200 years I stood in the gap, fighting those who would harm my country. It was my honor, my sacred duty, so help me God. 9 times they took my life. 9 times I stood back up and made them pay. The freedom fighter and I could handle anything, but someone betrayed me. I was ambushed, made mortal, rendered powerless, and retired. They passed an amendment and made me a civilian before I left the hospital. For 50 years I watched my country change. Watched its work while erasing me from history. The day I quit my job, I powered up and discovered they lied about that too. I'll remind them of freedom. I'll remind them of duty. I'll remind them of their oaths of whom they serve. I'll remind them while I'm shoving it down their throats.
Psychically, I'm very well endowed.
I want to know what you're thinking. There are some things you can't hide. I want to know what you're feeling. Tell me what's on your mind.
Hey everybody, welcome to Monday Night Show. Got a little bit of a Christmas tree back there. Got got the hat on. Anyway, it's Christmas. So I might do another show before Christmas, but I don't know this if this is the last show I do before Christmas, then it's I got in the spirit. Anyway, so welcome to the show, the Monday Night Show. This is Bunny is Thinking About. And this time I'm thinking about A Christmas Story. Okay. Now, A Christmas Story was a movie, I think it was 1983. And when I remember seeing the trailers for this movie when it came out, and I remember thinking it was kind of a wacky, kind of like a madcap comedy kind of movie. And just it looked like pretty much everything else that was out around that season, and it's like if you around that time, if you went comedy, everything was slapstick, everything was like goofy, comedy was always had that physical element to it. And so they cut the trailer to look like I don't know, something like Carol Burnett or something like that. But something more along the lines of mindless, kind of like shallow goofiness. And like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation that came out a few years later. But this movie was so much more than that. This movie was the culmination of a man by the name of Gene Shepard's entire like career. This man had been on the radio for decades, had become very beloved, and he just great storyteller. He was kind of like the Northeast version of Paul Harvey, and he had this really long, illustrious career where he kind of like started out in the middle of the night. He was given this shot as a DJ, but it was like they buried him at like the worst time slot possible in the middle of the night. The only people going to be open, up at that hour, or parents with children, or people who party too hard, and but he managed to turn the demographic, and he started, kind of like making some headway. And so they're like, there might be something to this guy. Mike Rowe did an interview with somebody who's kind of a Gene Shepard expert, and I think they were doing a documentary on him. It was a real good episode. Hold on. Looks like we got at least one comment on here. John's Longbox. Hello. Welcome. Hey, John, if you like the Christmas story and you got time, let me know. I'll let you on board, man. But anyway, but the thing about Christmas Story is it's kind of very similar to what happened with The Wizard of Oz, very similar to what happened with the movie Clue. And It's a Wonderful Life. It also happened with this one. With those movies, basically they got buried. Either they came out at the wrong time and got like swept under with this packing orders while listening. Oh, okay. Good deal, man. Hopefully one of them will be mine. Anyway. Oh, yes. So basically, he kind of like made a career out of nothing. And it was all just storytelling, just pure storytelling, and unlike Paul Harvey, who would do twists on actual stories, Gene Shepard would just most of his was just pure fiction. He would use kind of like some elements of his childhood, but most of what he did was just pure fiction. It was just pure artifice, pure writing ability. And so he came up with Ralphie and his family, and he's several books along the lines of telling the story of this particular family. And the way he would tell the story, he would tell the story kind of the nostalgic looking back kind of thing, like an older Ralphie. They later used basically Gene Shepard's narrative style for the show Wonder Years. But he was pretty much like a pioneer of that particular storytelling style. And a lot of people emulated him later. It was him and Paul Harvey, basically. Paul Harvey, though, would take a twist on actual stories, while Gene Shepard would just make them up from whole cloth. But either way, both of them were just like master storytellers, and humanity craves stories. Okay. So when this movie came out in 1983 and was just marketed to the wrong audience, it was buried in the holiday season. It was actually they put it out before Christmas season. And it was one of the most bizarre placements I've ever seen of a movie, but they put it out before the Christmas season actually started. And so by the time Christmas rolled around, this movie is already forgotten. And they make these decisions and they bury these movies. They declare them failures, but then they go into syndication, or then a television's like a channel or a cable in this case basically takes the movie and starts saturating it for television audiences. And television was, television was kind of like a medium in flux around that time. You know, the whole entire idea of television, things being made for television, was kind of like it was kind of getting formulaic because they were all using this plot wheel thing. And so if you watch one show, you watch somebody's using that plot wheel, and it made everything formulaic. It made everything kind of like same. And so when something genuinely good showed up on television, it made an impact, and Wizard of Oz is a good example of this. Well, Wizard of Oz was shown like once a year. It became an annual thing. It became appointment television. And because of that, people would gather around that one time a year, kind of like the Super Bowl. The Wizard of Oz is coming on tonight, or the Charlie Brown Christmas special. That was a big one. And basically, but TNT in particular did something bizarre with this movie because they made the observation that you can watch this movie over and over and over again, and it's like you can walk away from it, come back, and then see something new every time. And so their idea was, let's see if we can put it on for 24 hours around the Christmas season and see if people will watch it. And so they started doing this annually, and the ratings were solid every single year because people would put it on in the background of whatever party they had. And they could just put TNT on the back and it showed up in the Nielsen ratings, and they would do this every year, and people would just like, if you watch Christmas Story, it's I missed that part. Well, wait until it recycles and you can watch it. And so people would get familiar. Most of the time, when you get familiar with movies, you get familiar with certain scenes. But Christmas Story, you'll find people are familiar with the whole entire thing. And everybody has like their own favorite vignette, or their own favorite little moment in time. I have my own. I will tell you later on. But I found this video, and I vetted it, but that doesn't mean nothing on YouTube anymore. But I did vet it, and it said that it would pass muster. So I'm going to play, it's 10 like cool facts about Christmas Story. I've vetted this and watched it earlier, and there's some stuff on there I genuinely did not know. And so I hope maybe you're the same way. But let me do, this is the intro. Here you go.
Yeah, Santa.
Of course, Santa, the big man, the head honcho.
Hey, kid, hurry up. The store's closing. Come on. We've got a lot of people waiting here, so get going.
What do you want for Christmas, little boy?
Come on, kid. No, I want an officer red undercover knife and 200 my rifle.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid. Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
No!
A Christmas Story is a timeless holiday classic released in 1983. Directed by Bob Clark and based on Gene Shepard's nostalgic stories about growing up in the 1940s. The film follows young Ralphie Parker's heartwarming quest to get his dream Christmas gift, a Red Ryder BB gun. Here are the top 10 weird but true facts. Be sure to stick around to the end for a fun bonus.
Okay, yeah, weird but true facts about Christmas Story. And so you may know a lot of these. I knew a lot of these. Hold on a second. Don't talk to me. I'm thinking. My motto. Yeah. That's. Everybody can quote lines from this movie. I mean, everybody can quote lines from this movie. It's just one of those movies. But yeah, Okay, so let's get to this first fun but weird fact about Christmas Story. All right. This is one that I didn't know the whole story. I kind of knew some of it, but I didn't know all of it. Here you go.
Fact. Number 1. Of all the unforgettable moments in A Christmas Story, the leg lamp stands out as the film's most iconic symbol. Won by the old man as a major award, the lamp has become a beloved piece of pop culture. Its design, with its shapely leg and fishnet stocking,
What is it? Wait, it's a leg!
wasn't dreamed up entirely from scratch. It was inspired by a knee-high soda advertisement.
Damn walls is froze up again.
Some men are Baptists, others Catholics. My father was an Oldsmobile man.
Well, basically, when it comes to the leg lamp was entirely created from scratch. It did not exist. It was built entirely for the movie. And they destroyed all of them during the course of making the movie. So there's not like any of them in existence. So if anybody tells you that they have one from the movie set or the television, the movie set, then they're completely lying. There's no way possible. But they didn't make replicas. But the thing about it is, when you watch that movie, his neighbor comes up to him and asks him, what is that, George? That guy is actually Bob Clark, the guy who directed the movie. I did not know that until I've been watching that movie for years, and I didn't know that was the director of the movie. Didn't put himself in a cameo there, but he was good as an actor. He must have done some acting, because I couldn't tell. I mean, you're up against Gavin making, you can't. That's not a slouch right there. But anyway, so all right. Here's a second fun fact.
Number 2. In the memorable backyard scene where Ralphie imagines himself taking down bandits, Peter Billingsley was chewing on something all too real: actual tobacco. While most actors use black licorice to mimic the cowboy aesthetic, the prop department opted for authenticity, giving the young actor something they probably shouldn't have. Billingsley later recalled feeling dizzy, breaking into a sweat, and experiencing a burning sensation on his lips.
You know that scene where I'm shooting the guys out the window? The director said you should be like you're chewing tobacco, like you're a cowboy. And the prop guy brought a bag of Red Man out. And so I put in the thing and we started shooting, and I just remember I started getting real dizzy and sweating. I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know it was the tobacco.
That gets me because when I was a young kid, I tried chewing tobacco. My great uncle Ed, it was Red Man, and I tried to chew it, and nobody told me not to swallow the juice. I'll leave it right there. Anyway, let's just say a very memorable experience. But anyway, so yeah. Next fact. Here we go.
Number 3. In 2004, the unassuming Cleveland home was sold on eBay for $150,000. The new owner undertook an extensive restoration, returning the house to its on-screen glory. Across the street, they established a museum dedicated to the film's enduring legacy. Each holiday season, a 2-night stay at the house is auctioned, with proceeds supporting the A Christmas Story House Foundation, a non-profit organization committed to preserving this cultural landmark and revitalizing the surrounding neighborhood. Number 4. Many of us remember the awkward scene where Ralphie and Randy are waiting in line to see Santa. In front of them stands a strange little boy wearing flight goggles. He turns around with an awkward smile and says, "I like the Wizard of Oz."
I like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It turns out that this peculiar child wasn't an actor. According to Peter Billingsley, the boy was a local kid discovered in a mall.
Okay, evidently I got a little bit of that one. We'll watch that one shortly. Hold on a second. Got a comment. All right. My old work partner chewed. He had a couple spit juice and make me gag. My stepbrother, R.I.P. He would basically he dipped and he would drink Mountain Dew and then he would spit the bottle full. And so not only is he not getting like proper, hydration because it's a soda, but he would also be spitting out all the moisture in his body into these. And he passed out like several times. And they took him to the hospital, and it was like he was dehydrated all those times. And his mom was just like baffled. She's like, "Why is it getting dehydrated?" And I was like, "Did you see those bottles downstairs?" She's like, "Oh yeah, they're nasty. There's a whole bunch of them." I was like, "That is fluid from his body that he is spitting into those bottles." And so no wonder he's dehydrated. And she's like, "Oh." Not very smart, my stepmom. But anyway, but yeah, he'd get dehydrated from spitting all the fluid out of his body. You have to be careful with that. All right, let me see. Let's play this again.
Number 4. Many of us remember the awkward scene where Ralphie and Randy are waiting in line to see Santa. In front of them stands a strange little boy wearing flight goggles. He turns around with an awkward smile and says, "I like the Wizard of Oz."
I like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
It turns out that this peculiar child wasn't an actor. According to Peter Billingsley, the boy was a local kid discovered in a mall by director Bob Clark. The boy's natural quirkiness was so memorable that Clark decided he was perfect for the film.
Oh man. Off with that kid. But we've all run into kids like that, it's like, "I like such and such," and it's like, what is something wrong with your eyes, man? Something wrong with you. But anyway, those were the days. It turns out it was just a kid that he saw in the mall, and he's like, "You are so strange. I've got to use you in this movie." Anyway, so we'll go to this is number
5. The unforgettable furnace fight scene was entirely ad-libbed. Darren McGavin, who played the old man, confessed that improvising angry rants without resorting to profanity proved too challenging. Instead, he opted for a stream of animated gibberish, which became one of the character's signature quirks. The creative workaround wasn't just comedic genius, it was essential for preserving the film's family-friendly PG rating.
Oh, blast it! Toot, blurg, rattle, brass, hammer, blurg, you blocker, rattle, beast!
Oh man, Darren McGavin, what a genius! But yeah, he just told him, he had like some gibberish stuff down, and Darren's like, "I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go do that." He says, "I'll make up my own words on the spot," and so Bob Clark's like, "Okay, you're Darren McGavin, go right ahead," and it just kept the camera rolling, and he just came up with that stuff on the spot, and later on. Peter Billingsley had a scene where he was beating up the bully, and he he kind of like did this, he kind of like did what Darren McGavin did. He just like just ad-libbed it on the spot, just getting his frustration out. But just completely, totally ad-libbed. it could have been something entirely different on another day. But that's the thing about ad libs. When they work, it's genius. And it just adds authenticity to anything. Okay, so here's one of the most memorable scenes, and I actually have. This is one of my favorites, and I'll tell you why right after this. So here you go.
Number 6. The flagpole scene is one of the most iconic moments, and while many have tried to replicate it, not everything is as it seems. Scott Schwartz, who played Flick, revealed that a suction tube, essentially a small vacuum cleaner, was used to keep his tongue securely stuck to the pole for the duration of the scene. Fortunately, despite the seemingly painful predicament, no harm was done in the making of the memorable shot.
I triple dog dare you!
One of my favorite things about the movie, and this is something that me and my friend had talked about. Okay, hold on a second. My sister is the Bumpus Hounds. My sister is the Bumpus Hounds and all. Okay, gotcha. Anyway, but there's a scene where a Flick is stuck. He's just trying to get loose and he can't get loose, and Schwartz is like, "Oh, what are we gonna do?" And Ralphie's like, "I don't know. The bell rang," and they just ran and left him there. And me and my best friend Craig, who just recently passed, we talked about why that was so authentic to kids. I mean, that's one of the things that kind of breaks verisimilitude when it comes to like having kids and anything is when they try to make them little angels or try to give them some kind of moral code. Kids absolutely do not have a moral code. Okay. And so if you get in trouble, your buds are going to leave you. I'm sorry. It's nothing personal, but the bell rang. The bell rang. Sorry, and there's that scene where she's like, "Is anybody where's Flick? Has anybody seen Flick?" And it's like, "What about you, Schwartz?" And Schwartz is like, Ralph, "What about you, Ralphie?" And Ralph's like, And he used a little oboe tune from Peter and the Wolf. And he used Peter and the Wolf music all throughout the movie, by the way, several times, especially with the bully. You could hear the Wolf's theme from Peter and the Wolf. But just say you're like, I don't know where he is. And you got the little tattletale hall monitor girl. He's kind of like, and he's out there, But then Flick didn't roll on them, and they're like, "That's my boy there. That's my boy." I left him out to dry, but he didn't roll on me. No, he's not a squealer. It's the boy code. There's a legitimate code between boys, and that is no matter how bad you screw me over, I'm not going to tell the parents. At least Gen X didn't. But anyway, so. That particular scene just rings so true to me because that's how kids are. That's how they act. And anybody that tries to tell you differently is either deluded. They think their little precious baby is like the most innocent thing on the planet. But the truth of the matter is it's just how kids are. They legitimately are little savages, and they have to be taught. They have to be aimed into being members of society. And the reason why the whole society is breaking down right now is because the parents have completely abdicated that job that they have. And so these little kids are going out into the world as savages without any moral code, without any, barriers to what they'll do. There's a kid in Charlotte that was arrested 475 times. And if it wasn't for the arenas law that they just put in, he'd be walking the streets today. And in DC, most of the crime was being committed by boys under 18 years old. because the system's so broken when it comes to you know, the juvenile courts. But anyway, so essentially that's what I loved about this scene was the fact that those boys just left their bro out to dry. I mean, he was on his own, okay? even though Schwartz kind of dared him into it. I mean, triple dog dare. I'm sorry, you got to take a triple dog dare. You just got to. It's, you know, there's no you know, wiggle room there. But anyway, I've always loved that. I've always loved that scene. But anyway, here's another one for you.
Number 7. The infamous soap scene, though painfully convincing, owes its authenticity to Peter Billingsley's remarkable acting.
You know what your son just said?
No, what?
The red Lifebuoy soap that Ralphie is forced to chew was, in fact, made of wax. Director Bob Clark chose Lifebuoy specifically because it was known for having the worst taste, something he remembered all too well from his own childhood.
Over the years, I got to be quite a connoisseur of soap. My personal preference is for Lux, but
Well, I had this issue where I did say the F dash the dreaded fudge. And I did get my mouth washed out with soap, but I wasn't as lucky as Ralphie. Okay. My aunt, you know, who was my parenting me at that time, she was basically a distributor for Amway. And so what I wound up getting in my mouth was Amway dish or Amway hand soap. And I had to swish it around and spit it out. And trust me, man, that stuff is concentrated. But it is not a fun thing. Not fun at all. But, you know, I also love that scene where because he kind of like, he rats out Schwartz. And then you hear Schwartz getting beat on the phone, you know, oh, God, you know, and it's like, I didn't do anything, you know. That's just kids, man. That's just kids, man. We just rat each other out, you know. We do whatever it took, you know. I mean, we're just little savages, man. That's one thing I love about this movie. The one thing that resonates with people from generation to generation is like, it doesn't break that verisimilitude when it comes to kids. Kids are like this, you know. They're going to leave their brother to the mercy of the bullies and run, you know. I mean, it's just that's what kids are. Kids have no bravery in them. They have no. It's all self-preservation, and it's all, you know, getting theirs. That's basically the only thing that they care about, and that's okay. That is totally okay. That's just what kids are. That's why you need parents. That's why you need parenting, you know. But this movie just really, really demonstrates that better than pretty much any movie before or since. Okay, here we go. Number 8.
Number 8. Melinda Dillon, who plays Ralphie's mother, was genuinely startled when the duck's head was chopped off.
Okay.
In fact, her surprise was no accident. Dillon was deliberately given the wrong script for that scene, ensuring her reaction, complete with the laughs and shrieks that made it into the final cut, was completely authentic.
Take the whole with power of glory. Ra, 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 ra.
Okay, that particular scene is beloved by Asian people. That scene, they think, just portrays them in such a positive light. But liberals want to cancel this movie over that scene. But Asian people actually love that scene. Every Asian person I've ever run into absolutely loves that scene because they're doing their best. even though they didn't speak the language very well. I mean, with the R's instead of L's. And basically, they're doing the best they can, but because these people are kind of like showed up at their doorstep, and they do the best they can by them. But the whole duck thing, her not knowing before that happened, I mean, that's absolutely that was a little dirty in a way, but I think it's just hilarious. That's one of my favorite scenes also. And it's just because of the earnestness, it's not even their holiday, but these people show up on their doorstep, and that's why they're open, is because they don't celebrate Christmas, but because these people need them to try to be Christmassy, that's what they do, and there's people that actually go to Chinese restaurants on Christmas Day because of this movie. And this movie is the reason why people know that Chinese restaurants are most of the time going to be open on Christmas Day. And it's a symbiosis there. That's just amazing. But the Chinese people in that restaurant were absolutely kind-hearted. They were generous, and they just doing the best they can by this family. And he was just kind of like showed up. That's the spirit of Christmas right there. Even if they don't celebrate the spirit, they were trying to get into the spirit, by half of this family. And that's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. That's one thing that racial politics has taken away from us, is the ability to appreciate generosity when we see it. And everything's got to be like, everything's kind of got to be, only glowing portrayals. You can't show them in any way possible as being diminished or have an inability. And because of that, you essentially take out the humanity of people. You can't portray them in the way that they are. And that's why people have such bad false perception of other races, is because we aren't allowed to, in our pop culture, to portray them as they are. And this movie does that, and it's a beautiful thing. Okay, here we go. Number 9.
Number 9. Peter Billingsley didn't leave the set empty-handed. After filming Wrapped, he took home a few memorable souvenirs. Among the keepsakes were Ralphie's iconic Red Ryder BB gun, the pink bunny suit, and, ironically, Ralphie's broken glasses. But as Billingsley pointed out, it was more like 2 items, since the glasses were actually his own and not a prop. Number.
Yep. Ralphie's glasses, that was his. And yeah, so I'm sure his mama was kind of like, "You're not going to break those glasses, are you?" It's like they probably had a prop person make up glasses for that scene. Anyway, here's a number 10.
10. Gene Shepard's book, In God We Trust. All Others Pay Cash, which is what the film is based on, was a collection of semi-autobiographical short stories that he actually wrote for Playboy magazine in the 1960s. Shepard's voice brings the story to life as the film's narrator.
Weeks ago, I had sent away from my little orphan Annie's secret society decoder pin. Oh, skunked again.
And he even steps in front of the camera for a brief cameo in the department store scene, where Ralphie and Randy line up to see Santa.
Just where do you think you're going? The line ends here. It begins there.
But behind the scenes, things weren't quite as smooth. Reports suggest Shepard's habit of questioning director Bob Clark's choices added a layer of tension to the production.
Yeah, but there's a little bit of a story about that. it really wasn't him questioning. Jewish people get Chinese on Christmas. Yeah, there you go. Well, basically, Bob Shepard's personality, his humor was just it was almost entirely sarcasm, and so Bob Clark didn't get that, didn't understand it. And so the reason why they butted heads is because Bob Clark took Gene Shepard's every comment seriously, and Gene Shepard's humor was basically dry, straightforward sarcasm that never gets resolved. Okay, he never says "I'm kidding." He never said "I would." Never would say "I'm kidding." It was just like he would imply that he was kidding by the absurdity of what he just said. And Bob Clark didn't get that nuance. It was just basically a misunderstanding between them. And so Bob always thought that Gene was questioning him, and Gene was just basically being Gene. And this has been cleared up. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. But this has been cleared up over the years. And Bob Clark, before he passed away, did admit that he was way too uptight. This was Gene's baby. And there's a lot of things that Gene asked and that made the movie, or that added on, that made the movie better. And Gene not only did the narration, that was Gene Shepard's voice, by the way, that did the narration. But Gene would also write things on the spot if they needed it. Gene was that good of a writer. He was absolutely pure storyteller. And so if the dialogue didn't go quite the way, Gene would just walk up and say, "Okay, I think this is better. What do you think?" And Bob Clark, was being a little precious, but most of the time when he would read the dialogue that Gene just wrote for this, he would use that. And he admitted it later, but that's probably where the friction came in. Okay, got a couple bonus things for you. Okay, here's the first one.
Now for a bonus fact. If Ming Ming, the lead toy maker in 2003's Elf, strikes a familiar chord, there's a good reason. It's Ralphie, all grown up. Peter Billingsley stepped back into the holiday spotlight, this time starring alongside Will Ferrell in the modern Christmas classic.
No, buddy, you're not a cotton-headed ninny muggins. We all just have different talents, that's all.
Seems like everyone else has the same talents except for me.
Man, Peter Billingsley's got the blue eyes, doesn't he? I mean, it's like a husky. You recognize those eyes anywhere. I mean, it was definitely not a bad thing. Oddly enough, both Peter Billingsley and Zach, the guy who played the villain, the guy who played, the big bad, the bully that he had to beat up, Zach Ward, I think his name is. Both of them became producers later on and produced a whole lot of stuff that you've heard about. And so it was very obvious. It was very odd that they followed parallel paths. But yeah, one more, and then I got a comment about the sequel movie. Here you go.
If you've made it this far, here's an extra bonus for Christmas. Some of the shots were filmed inside the house in Cleveland, and others were filmed on a soundstage in Toronto. There's an easy way to tell the difference. When the front room drapes were open, the filming was done inside the original house. When the drapes are closed, the filming was done on a soundstage. And finally, the beautiful snowflakes falling were actually potato flakes dropped from the roof. Merry Christmas. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like and subscribe button and check out more interesting videos on this channel. See you next time.
The entire neighborhood was turned on.
Oh, you should see what it looks like from out here.
That guy standing beside of Darren McGavin was Bob Clark. Now, A Christmas Story Christmas. is the sequel to A Christmas Story, and it was produced and basically it was Peter Billingsley's baby, and both Bob Clark and Darren McGavin are passed, and Gene Shepard also, and so he was doing the best he could to kind of like do something along the lines of what they would have wanted, and for the most part, it does have a few pacing issues, but me and Craig watched it when it first came out, and we found it a pretty decent compliment to the original movie, and I mean, while I don't know that it added enough that it's an annual watch, it's really not a bad compliment. And you can tell the people who made it loved the source material, loved the original movie, and were trying to do their best. Because you've seen Christmas Story, like it was adapted for the like a musical. It was and then the musical was adapted for the screen, and you could tell the people. And there was a sequel made to Christmas Story 2. And you could tell that the people who made those were basically trying to recreate the formula of the original movie without understanding what made it great. And what made it great was storytelling. What made it great was Gene Shepard's like incredible narratives, and they just weren't able to duplicate that. So the Christmas Story Christmas is as close as we've gotten to that out of all the attempts. And it's worth the watch. I really felt like it basically, it felt like a continuation of the original movie. And there were times where I thought that they kind of like maybe brought in more of like when they talked about Darren McGavin, they kind of maybe talked about Darren McGavin rather than the old man, because the old man, they spoke more warmly about the old man than the character really warranted. And so I always felt like they were talking more about Darren McGavin than they were talking about the character. But anyway, so it's worth a watch. Out of 6 carats, I would say it's about 4 carats. It's not like an annual watch kind of thing, but if you haven't seen it, it's worth seeing at least once. It really does add to the mythos. It does really give you an extension. I really enjoyed that. So I would suggest if you haven't seen A Christmas Story Christmas, it's available, I think, on Amazon Prime. It's worth it. Let's see. The narration was epic. Yeah. Gene Shepard had been doing that on radio for a long, long time. Created his entire career off of narrating. And it's just listen to his voice. I mean, he could just impregnate every action into like every even a random thing, like bringing a basket to the front, because Gene Shepard narrated it, made it like a tremendous event, and or just something, just something stupid as that this movie has like these moments of absurdity that are just so, like this whole Santa thing. You hear kids screaming in the background the whole entire time they're going up to see Santa, and you're like, what's going on? But then you get up there and Santa's like terrifying, right? And I mean, I've been in malls. I've seen those Santa people sit on that Santa's lap and just scream bloody murder. I mean, we've all seen that. And but Christmas Story Christmas was the only movie that's been honest enough, except Bad Santa, maybe. Probably Bad Santa. But I don't recommend that movie to anyone. Anyway, Bad Santa is not a holiday film. It's just not, unless you're a very specific sense of humor. Bad Santa's not suggested. But that Santa, the fact that he was like, ho, 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 he's, just get this kid off my lap, things like that. That is so mall Santa. I mean, that is like the most perfect depiction of mall Santas. I mean, it's a job, okay, and it's a horrible job. They're not there because they love kids. They're there because putting on the stupid suit and putting it and you know, putting up with these kids long enough to get to the end of the shift, you know, gives them a bonus every year. I mean, that's pretty much all they're there for anyway. But this movie is just I think the reason why it resonates. I mean, you got It's a Wonderful Life, okay? That resonates because of the message, I guess. And because we all know somebody who has given to everybody else around them and doesn't understand how awesome they are, and then you know, have that revealed to them. And we all feel like we want to have significance. And so, you know, It's a Wonderful Life has that moment. But honestly, let's see. Santa Claus never dropped off my Evil Knievel BMX box for Christmas in 1976. The bastard. Well, I'm pretty sure that was probably vetoed by your parents. I'm going to guess. It was probably vetoed by your parents. But anyway, so I think honestly, the reason why it resonates so much is it's basically ordinary people. I mean, even in like a Home Alone, those people lived in a mansion, right? We can't identify with that. Nobody can identify with that, right? You know, I mean, but you see Christmas Story after Christmas Story, A Miracle on 34th Street. Unless you live in New York, that movie, I mean, it doesn't really resonate that much. I mean, it's a great story. You know, it's got a really cool twist at the end, but I never watch it just unless it's on. I never like pick it out, but I do Christmas Story. Why? Just because I've lived Christmas Story. You know, I know people like the ones that are in Christmas Story. It's the most human of the Christmas movies. And it's because at its heart, it's not a Christmas movie. Let me explain. A Christmas Story was put together from Gene Shepard's work, especially that one book. You know, all others pay cash. I can't remember the name of it, but it was in the video earlier. But actually, it's like the story is. I mean, Christmas is not the most important thing about the story. It's a quest. It's essentially a quest movie with a lot of side missions. Okay, and that's what makes it so good. You shoot your eye out, kid. Exactly, exactly. Go see Best Christmas Pageant Ever. Yeah, exactly. That's another one. I didn't see the one that they put out last year, but I've been told it's real good. I read the book when it was coming out, but that's exactly what I'm talking about. Christmas is messy, okay? Family is messy. But at the end of the day, there's that moment where you forget, you know, your own selfish desires and the core of the family comes together. And that this movie just shows that, you know, and it shows my friend Craig's favorite moment. And I've never heard anybody else say that this was their favorite moment, but it was for him. He was really close with his mom. And his mom was not always like the most warm and fuzzy person. I met his mom, and she was a serious person. You know, she was very matriarchal and did not have a lot of kindness in her. But he loved his mom dearly. But this scene where Ralphie gets in the fight with the bully, and he loses his glasses while he's beating the snot out of this bully. Okay, and you know, cussing up a blue streak, you know, like his dad taught him. And this moment where his mom, who has during the whole entire movie has been like you know, she's been the disciplinarian the whole entire movie, and the father's kind of been doing his thing, but she's been the disciplinarian the whole entire movie. And here he is. She brings him home. She cleans him up. She goes, lets him lay down, and he thinks he's dead. He thinks he's dead because, he lost his glasses, and because he beat up the bully, and because he cussed the blue streak. And then he comes into kitchen, to receive his punishment. He's dead meat. And his mom, he's like, "Where are your glasses?" And then it's like, okay, here it comes. And you see the little terror in his eyes. And his mom says, "You left him on the radio again. I told you not to do that," and gives them to him. And then immediately changes his mind and asks how the Packers are doing, like she cares. And he's like, "Things were never the same between me and my mom after that." And Craig loved that moment. He loved it. That moment where mama was mama before she was disciplinarian, And I don't think he ever got that moment with his mom, but he cherished that moment in Christmas Story. And we all have those moments in this movie where something resonates with us so deeply. And it just comes from Gene Shepard's years and years and years and decades of storytelling, that he honed that gift. And this movie is kind of like the pinnacle of that honed gift from thousands of episodes of radio shows. And so what you get is like the best of the best, the creme de la creme of a long and storied career. And I honestly think that that's why this movie is so good. Is Bob Clark basically in over his head? He never had any good movies before this movie, and he never really did good movies after this movie. Baby Geniuses, that was what he did after this movie. Okay, decent. But because of Gene Shepard being right there and him being so far over his head with this movie and all the problems that they had behind the scenes getting it happen, then he kind of like was just swimming for the shore as hard as possible. And he had these great actors, and he had this great kid acting, and he had this great script, and he had this great, one of the greatest narrators of all, orators and narrators of all time, writing Shotgun. And even though the marketing dropped the ball, this movie only needed eyeballs, and it got it when it went into syndication, like so many movies out there before it. Which makes you wonder if initial, like how many movies did we miss that bombed into theaters that were really generational and really amazing movies? How many did we miss? And because right now there's not a farm system anymore. There's not a television screen to put these movies on. There's no like cable channel to run it 24/7. Now it's all streaming. And because of streaming and the sheer amount of stuff that we got thrown at us all the time, I'm wondering how many Christmas stories are we missing? I wonder how many Christmas stories are falling through the cracks because that's the way the medium works now. Well, no, I mean, there's really no way of knowing. We could be missing jewels like this, and we'll never be any the wiser unless somebody sees it and shares it with their friends, and gets a trend going, which does happen from time to time. But I really honestly that's really a sad thing for me, is that how are we going to find movies like this? How are we going to find movies like The Wizard of Oz? How are we going to find movies like It's a Wonderful Life, like Clue, like The Monster Squad, which bombed in theaters, but it's now become Goonies for the people who love Universal monsters, which is I'm one. I did a movie on. Did a Bunny is thinking about Monster Squad earlier around Halloween, but I think honestly, I looked at Netflix, and Netflix has almost no Christmas movies this year, almost nothing new, and so I think there's an attempt to bury Christmas this year, and so I would highly suggest to you and yours, not only have a very, very Merry Christmas, but try to find a movie that maybe you've never watched before. And you'll know if it's any good within the first 5 or 10 minutes. Just watch it enough to see that. And just try to find something. Try to find another Christmas Story. Diamond in the Rough has been overlooked. Fa ra 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 ra. Yeah, we talked about that one. The movie 1941. You've been trying to get me to watch that movie. I have yet to watch it. So I need to, listen to my own advice, don't I? Anyway, well, thank you all for coming to my little TED Talk. Merry Christmas. And I may have a couple more shows before the end of the year. I do think that we're going to try to do a Cryptids and Conspiracies this weekend. Maybe we're going to try. I think the subject that we agreed upon is Christmas actually a pagan holiday. That's what we're going to look into, I think, this Saturday. I don't know if I'll have a Thursday movie or a Thursday show. I don't really know. With the life being so crazy these days. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but just keep your eyes open. I will advertise it probably the day of if I do. But anyway, thank you all for coming to this show. And watch Christmas Story sometime this season. It's tradition. And it'll do your family good, to sit down and watch that movie together. There's nothing else like it. Anyway, thank you all for coming, and we will talk to you later. Follow the White Rabbit. Bye, everybody. I probably should click in stream. I keep trying to leave the stream before I end it. Anyway,
I'll